Alrighty, so this video is for Core Trading Concepts. My name is William Cheung. On behalf of Core Trading Concepts, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch this quick video. I'm unsure of how long this video will go. I'm going to be recording some trades as it pertains to what is taught in the book called A Guide to Core Trading Concepts, as well as some of the major components required for proficient trading. Now, at this point in time, I'll take a moment to explain everything. As you've seen, there was just a tick that just took place here and here, and this is just pre-market activity coming into the next few minutes before the market actually opens. But let me explain some of these windows that I have open. This window here, as you can see, is my time and sales windows, also known as the prints. Currently, the odd lots or pre-market trading areas, I have them a little bit dimmed out so it doesn't get too terribly distracting. But by far and large, what we're looking for are green and red prints to go through, or time and executions to go through this window to give us a little bit of an idea of current buying and selling pressure and perhaps some momentum. This window here is my level 2 window, displaying the national best bid and offer price being in yellow at the very, very top. Of course, this side here is going to be the bid side. This side here will be the ask side. With that much said, we're going to be looking for shrinking of either one of the bid or the ask as it correlates to the actual chart itself, and then making a decision whether we should enter a trade or exit a trade or how we're going to manage it. I also have the positions window. This window here at the very top will indicate how many shares, what my profit and loss is, both unrealized and realized. And of course, this is my executions window here. With that much said, actually let's put this on the executions tab. Hopefully that didn't mess everything up. Because last time I tried to make this video, as soon as I clicked on anything inside this platform, it actually caused my mouse pointer to freeze. But hopefully this didn't happen this time around. Over here we have a 2-minute chart, which will help me finesse an entry, give me an impression about the supply and the demand pressures that are taking place. Top chart over here is going to be the 5-minute chart. Over here we have the 15-minute chart, which I've labeled all the areas of support, potential support and resistance lines. And the bottom chart is my hourly chart, which will give me an impression of some of the potential targets. Now the market's just opened. As you can see, we have all kinds of executions going through the time and sales window, and we'll give it a few minutes just to get an idea or an impression of the direction that the market's taking. Now, with that much said, it appears as though the market's gapping down just a tiny little bit, but it doesn't give us a whole bunch of impression as to if it's going to go higher or lower. As you can see, this green dotted line is giving us the previous day's closing price. However, if you'll notice that there's quite a big void going straight down here on the 15-minute chart to the next area of potential support. Now, there could be another area here of support, which I'm unsure whether or not that's going to hold, but what I'll do is I'll keep an eye on the 2-minute chart and the 5-minute chart to determine if this is an actual area that could potentially hold. And if that's the case, then we'll consider taking a trade to go to the upside if we get enough justification if we get enough convincing evidence based on the time and sales and the level 2 windows. So let's take a look at and see what happens. The market is currently, well, undecided at the moment, as you can see. It's sort of a little bit on the sideways, not really convincingly powerful to the downside or upside at this moment. So we'll just have to sit back and see what what is offered. Alrighty, so certainly no convincing move to the downside at this point in time. I'm unsure whether or not this area here will hold, but we'll have to play it one step at a time. We only trade what we see, not what we hope. Alrighty, so as we can see over here on the 5-minute chart, we have a whole bunch of down candles from the prior day going into the close. We have a little bit of a follow through today, going down to the 245, 39, 40 area. A little bit of a battle. As you can see, a little bit of a buying pressure taking place at the underside of this candle by this specific tail. And we'll see if this area is actually going to hold this range here. Alrighty, going back to the level 2 window, as you can see, not a whole bunch of convincing share size on either side of the, whether it's the bid or the ask. Still a lot of red and green back and forth, but no clear indication of strength or weakness based on the 2-minute chart or the 5-minute chart. It seems to be meandering around this area for a little bit. All right, so we got a little bit of green prints coming through. It's actually looking a little bit attractive to go long. So if we get a little bit more green prints, I think I'll probably take this. All right, so here we go, 243. Let's get in 244. Let's take my first 100 share lot. As you can see up here in the positions window, I'm in at 245.45, and I'm currently sitting at break even. And of course, if it goes much below this, perhaps 245, 42, 43, or that, around that range there, I'll consider getting out in order to minimize risk and maximize reward. In this particular instance, the intention would be to minimize risk. Keep those losses extremely, extremely small. And of course, we can always re-enter this trade if this specific candle doesn't work out for us. Or this entry doesn't work for us. All right, so this is down to the 240s, 241 area. Not really too terribly pleased with the way what's taking place right now, so I think I'm going to exit this trade before I get a hard red bar against me. As you can currently see, I've exited the trade, and over in the positions window, the positions window, I currently have a $5 loss. And obviously I might have missed this entry over here, or could have potentially held it a little bit longer and hit the break-even range based on the level 2 and the time in sales. Alrighty, so we're not really getting a whole bunch of convincing move to neither to the upside nor to the downside at this moment. Just to bear in mind, as I mentioned inside my book, A Guide to Core Trading Concepts, the prior day's closing price area can potentially be an area of support or resistance as well. Alrighty, not a whole bunch to look at. Alrighty, let's take a look at some of these charts while we're trying to get an impression what's taking place for an entry and otherwise. On the hourly chart, we have clearly an uptrend that's taking place. This chart may look a little bit flattened with the candles not really being displayed too terribly well, but I'm sure it's visible that the hourly chart is in an uptrend. The same thing applies to the 15-minute chart. It is in an uptrend, and it's actually in a pivoting uptrend. There's a pivot there, here's another pivot here, here's another pivot here. And obviously, this is a bad bar, a bad tick of a trade that took place after market. I verified that this bar should actually have ended at the 245.40 range, should not have actually come all the way down here. So that's just an out of money trade that took place for a whole entire dollar, which does not bear any accuracy or resemblance of true normal trading for our purposes. The 5-minute chart will be a smaller time frame than the 15-minute chart, which amplifies the perspective of this down move going into Friday's close. And there's a little bit of an uptrend going on here, a little bit of downtrend. It looks like it took out this whole entire area or this level. Nonetheless, we're not getting a whole bunch of direction taking place at this moment in this area here. So we're going to have to sit on this until we get some form of something that actually justifies us taking an entry. And this could be potentially an upside move. I'm unsure whether or not the prior day's closing price or how that's going to impact this specific trade at this moment, but let's just keep an eye on this for another second. If I get a little bit of a push here, maybe I'll take it at all right, so we'll just have to play it by ear, see how this plays itself out. This being the low of the day, this area or range right here, I like to see some form, if this comes back down, which we can see the red candles forming, I would like to see some form of a reversal in this range here, perhaps even down to the 245.35. I don't want to give it a whole bunch more room than that. If I get a reversal into this area with the red bar coming down, it's ideal for me to consider still staying long. Although, as a whole, this chart is displaying a little bit of weakness. So there might be a little bit of a counter trend play here, but let's take it one step at a time, evaluate exactly what it was that we see, and make a determination how we're going to trade this. All right, so this bar is a little bit hard, a little bit aggressive. Both on the 2-minute chart as you see here and the 5-minute chart. Looks like a follow-through continuation on the 15-minute chart, and we'll just keep an eye on it. Well, here's the range that I was mentioning earlier, that around the 235 area. If I see a little bit of green, maybe I'll consider testing it, getting back into this trade. Just like, for example, right now, I'm in at 245.38. And of course, if it goes below the 245.35, I want to get out. Alrighty, so we got a little bit of momentum taking place here to the upside. Lots of bottoming tails, looks like a buying pressure. So I'm going to add 200 more shares. If the price starts moving up into this range here, I might consider adding a little bit more. Okay, so I think the stocks fell asleep on me here. Alrighty. If I do add around this 245, 247, 246 range here, what I like to do is I like to shrink up my entry price so that way I don't experience any more of a loss than I have to, which means that I'd probably look at around the 240, 241 range, specifically to minimize loss. And this actually looks pretty good right now. A little bit more of a tail on that bottom of that red candle. All right, so I'm going to take 200 more shares of this now. And my total average price is 245.43. Let's call it 44. The current price is 245.46, 48. And let's see where we go. All right, so this is quite attractive to the long side because of all these bottoming tails, buying pressure, and which is evidenced by the, not only the level 2 area, the buying pressure, but also the time and sales window. So it looks like we have a decent entry here, and we'll see once again if this prior day's closing area is going to play become an issue for price to move higher. If it does, we need to protect the 245, 44, 43 area so that way we don't experience any exponential loss, specifically because we added to the share size. All right, 258 is broken through. I think I'm going to add 100. Oh, 266. All right, so that's pretty confident. So I'm going to add a. Sure. Okay, so perhaps I'm not going to add a lot of red going through the time and sales window right now, but it's holding. All right, so we got a little bit of a topping tail coming in over here. It's hard to determine whether or not this is going to continue to the upside with all this red or selling pressure taking place. So I'll be a little bit more on the conservative side. And I'll be a little bit more patient. Now, in this moment, as we're just observing what's taking place, I just wanted to make a quick mention that the rationale behind me not taking any type of action at this moment in time is specifically because I'm unsure I'm perhaps unconvinced of the buying pressure taking place and the way these candles are forming. Um, I'm still in a good position because my average entry price for the 500 shares that I have is at the 44s, which is basically around the last two digits of the stock that I'm trading. So obviously I want to protect that price. I don't want the price to come back down. It just happens to be at this moment, I'm not convinced of the momentum to the upside right here and right now. So there is a little bit of judgment call taking place. As you can see, my total net unrealized profit currently is $92. My realized loss is $5, and the current unrealized profit minus the current realized loss gives me a net profit and loss of $77. Alrighty, so here we go. What we have here, as what we can see, a little bit of selling pressure taking place here. Once again, let's take a look and observe whether or not this prior day's area is now going to become support. If it does, then it would be something interesting, something that should be considered. Any reversal or any buying pressure that takes place coming back into this area may potentially be bought or add to the current position or size. And just to reiterate, my average cost price is the 44s, which is down in this level here. I will not allow price to, or the price candlesticks to erode back to this level. That would be very, very wrong. All right, so this red candle may start the move to the downside. Don't know whether or not this area of prior days close is going to play a role of support. If it does, if I get a little bit of buying pressure, perhaps I'll consider adding. Oh, all right, so there's a little bit of a tail there. Let's take a look and get ready to add a little bit more, maybe 100 or 200 shares more, if we get convincing evidence like this, which is actually not bad. Not the greatest, but it's not that bad. All right, so let's be patient. All right, so it's at the 58s. There's only one more 58 here before it looks like it's going to go up. And I think I'm going to add 200 more shares. Now, my current position or my current size is 700 shares. My current average price is 245.48. And my highest entry price based on executions is 245.60, which is where the current price is at this moment. We need to have some form of strength show up, something that's going to be convincing to keep us happy and moving forward. All right, so on the psychology side, or the psychological side, on the 2-minute chart, obviously we want these candles to go higher and higher. So we're going to be rooting, come on, let's go higher. let's make a new high of the day. And hopefully that's what we get. Alrighty. So let's take a quick look at this whole entire environment of what's taking place. We currently have a couple of up bars. We can see buying pressure down here with all these tails. We have a little bit of selling pressure here. It's actually cracked and gone green by going over the prior day's close. This red candle and the lower high with these tails, upper tails, which is selling pressure, doesn't look that too terribly attractive at this moment. Okay, so here we go, a little bit of a green bar. We want this to go over the high of the day, which is around the 245.65, 66, 67 area. We want that to accelerate well beyond that. And we'd like to see a trend take place. Some people may argue this can be considered called a pivot, specifically based on the book that I've written, A Guide to Core Trading Concepts. A pivot is when you have multiple bars to the downside and then a retracement to the upside. There's almost like a V, sometimes a U shape at the bottom. In this case here, we have a little bit of an up, and this part here, the bottom of this tail, is a little bit lower than the prior bar, so it could be argued as a pivot, but it certainly won't be too terribly strong or convincing at this point in time. The reality is if this low gets tested again, then we're going to find out quite quickly how strong this area will be or is. Alrighty. As we see on the 2-minute chart, very, very sideways looking. Not even much of an argument to call this area moving downward. Today just may be one of those awkward, what is called an inside day, which means a very difficult day to try to move or make any money because of the nature of the stock market, or in this case here, the symbol SPY, which is the ETF for the Standard & Poor's 500 index. Fairly, it's beginning to look a little bit on the sideways area here on the 5-minute chart. 15-minute chart still looks like an uptrend. Appears as though this area of potential support didn't hold too terribly well, but this area here, which I should have drawn a line. Actually, maybe I'll just do that right now because it looks like it was of significance. Right around this area here, it did actually play a role. And maybe we'll change up that color. Alrighty, so there's our low of the day, and where price turned, and it looks like it was this area here from the prior day did actually play an influential role. Alrighty, so we're coming up to the new, the current high of the day, as you can see on the 2 and the 5-minute chart. Let's see if we have any type of convincing evidence that this is going to move higher. Go SPY. Okay, so we got a little bit of a selling pressure taking place here. Not too terribly attractive. Decisions. Alrighty, so I'm sitting with 700 shares right now. My highest entry price is in the 60s. Current price is 65 by 66. A little bit of red here, tail there. Not too terribly attractive to hold this large of a position, which isn't that much. It's only 700 shares. As you can see, I currently have unrealized win of about $110, and not sure if this is going to be too terribly attractive to hold. The market is not showing a whole bunch of convincing strength. At the same time, it's certainly not showing very much weakness either. Very, very, very sideways. And with all these tails, as you see on the 2-minute chart, including the 5-minute chart, it can certainly lead to a lot of choppiness. Alrighty, so I think that's about as much tail as I want. What I'm going to do is I'm going to exit 400 shares. I'll take some money off the table, put inside the realized loss column, a realized win column now, and sit with the $71. And we'll take a look at this area here. See if, as I mentioned earlier, this could be argued as a pivot. We'll see if this low of this pivot area or the low of the day, this area here, if price moves back down, then we'll add back to our position. I'm also sure that you'll notice that my average price has changed to 245.55. What's taking place here is the average prices use the rule called first in, first out, which means that for me to sell these 400 shares, the original first 400 shares are exited first, leaving me with the average price of 245.55. It's called the first in, first out rule. FIFO. Alrighty. One more time. Low of this bar here could be argued as a pivot. We'll take a look and see if this will hold. We'll see also the 3 areas that we want to see hold, and buying pressure to move the price higher will be the prior day's close, this tiny little bottom of this tail, and the low of the day. As for targets, we want, since the SPY is currently at its 50 or perhaps all-time high, which is the top of this bar here on the 15-minute chart, on the hourly chart. There isn't a whole bunch more with regards to targets that we have to work from. All right, so we got a red bar here. We're going to take more shares if we see some form of a reversal into this area, or the bottom of this bar. And we'll just prepare ourselves for it if we see any type of buying pressure. Buying pressure meaning this tail moving, or a much larger tail taking place here, or next bar opening up, going green, a convincing green. We'll see if we can get more shares. If each one of these breaks potential areas of support, then we want to reconsider the whole entire position. Alrighty, so that looks pretty convincing. About half the bar has been taken out. I'm going to add 200 shares. Well, I guess I accidentally added 300 shares. And let's see what happens. This took place at the prior low of this area here. In this area here. And of course, our ultimate target is going to be up in this range here at the 246 area. The spiders as a whole have basically an average daily range of $1. And the highs and the lows are typically established sometime during the first hour of trading. So it's hard to say whether or not the highs or lows. This area here is the high of the day, and it has room to go lower by almost $1, breaking these lows, or vice versa, where these lows here are going to be the low of the day and price is going to push higher, with this area here being around the target or maybe exceeding that area as being the target. Okay, so maybe I'm getting caught up talking a little bit too much. I should have been keeping an eye on price. It looks like I could have gotten myself into danger. My average price is the 59s, current price is the 62s, and the price actually dipped all the way down here to the 57s, which isn't that. I should have exited some shares if it went down to the 55, which actually would have caused me to take a little bit of a loss. But I guess I was talking a little bit too much and I was a little bit distracted. But nonetheless, you can see that my average price is the 59s. I added more at the 62s, which is the same price I exited. And let's see how the price progresses. Now, just to clarify, with the average price of the 59s, which is roughly around this area here, I don't know if I want the price to come down 600 shares. If the bid side displays 57s or 58s, if price comes down to here in this range here and the bid price starts displaying 57s and 58s, I may very well close the entire position, because now it would cause me to have 600 shares go in the wrong direction. So let's hope that doesn't happen, or watch to see what does happen and ensure that this doesn't become a problem area. You'll also notice on the 5-minute chart, we're not making new highs, which is a little bit concerning, not showing very much conviction by the market. Okay, so there we go. Looks like we have a new high of the day. Breaking over this area here makes me even happier, happy camper. We're basically about 35 minutes into the trading day, and we currently have a realized profit of $71, unrealized of 62. The total of the two gives us 100 and, well, currently at 139. If we were to exit our position at this price, this very moment. All right, so that's looking pretty attractive at this moment, except for that red candle. Okay, we'll have to keep an eye on this. 67. 69. 71. Alrighty. So we'll keep a close eye on this. I don't really want this to go back into the 68, 67 area. But this seems to be getting met with a little bit of selling. A little bit of potential resistance, and I don't see anything. Actually, there should not be a resistance area here. I don't really see anything. It could be perhaps news or something else taking place. This seems to be awfully slow. You know what? I'm going to take 300 shares off the table. That way I'll put some more of the unrealized money back into the bank. As you can see, my average price is now the 62s. My realized win is 118. Total quantity of shares is 1,900 shares. My unrealized win is, well, currently $30. So like I said earlier, I don't want the price to come down to the 62s. If it comes down to the 62s, it hits my break even. I lose all my unrealized. Although and if I exit the position, I'll hold on to the realized. But it is actually a very, very slow moving market. Not a whole bunch here. It's certainly not an exciting day by any stretch of the imagination. I'm going to take off another 200 shares here and put a little bit more into the bank. If the potential of this going over the 76s, if this actually goes over the 76s, maybe I'll add back into the position. But right now, I don't know if I'm too terribly convinced. This is already a 5-minute run of several bars. A little bit sideways within this specific range here. And we're getting a little bit of selling, a little bit of tails, topping tails selling here. It's difficult to say whether or not it's time for a little bit of a retracement to the downside with multiple up candles in a row such as this. It could potentially come back down. I don't know 100% for sure whether or not this area of sidewaysness might have absorbed any type of downside move or potential of any downside move, but we'll keep an eye on this. Alrighty, as I mentioned, we're going to take on more share size if this goes over 245.76. Whoops. All right. Perhaps I need to be prepared to get out of this one. This might be the downside move that I had mentioned. Alrighty. Well, there's another tail. All that red just got taken away. So it is a pretty sloppy, choppy day. One more time. If it goes over the 76s, this range here, I'll be entering, or I'll be adding to the share size. If it comes down to, at this point, I'm going to say around the 64 range or somewhere like that. I'll be more so interested in closing off the last 100 shares before it hits the 62s, so I don't have any loss at all. With that much said, I've got to take a quick break. I'll let the video run for the time being, but I will be back momentarily. Alrighty, so I am back. I actually just had to get a little bit of water to keep my throat moist. It was getting a little bit dry there. Alrighty, so here we go with the red bar. Difficult to tell what's going on at this moment. 45, 60. Today just might very well be one of those meandering days where, well, it's pretty much just one of those kind of days. It's beginning to look like one of those days where you're just better off taking the day off. A quick note, it's currently 10:15 a.m. Eastern. There's no scheduled news releases until 10:30 a.m. Oh, sorry, 11:30 a.m. 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. So it's difficult to say how that will impact the markets. But that's another hour and 15 minutes away from now. I'm unconvinced that we're going to let the video run that long. We may very well just call it the day. Okay. So bottoming tails, green bar. Um, Not too terribly convincing at this very moment. Actually, if there's anything that's taking place, it's a little bit of it is a little bit annoying. The angle of this specific 5-minute chart, not very attractive. It's a 45-degree angle. This would be a type of a trade that would, if I had entered down here and just let the trade run, I certainly have a little bit of gain through that trend. But as it sits as we speak at this moment, going in and out does not seem to be, well, it seems to be not as fruitful. There's a feel that this is just going to be one of those very, very slow days. Alternatively, if individuals are watching this that are more on the swing trading side, this might not be too terribly bad of a pattern if the intention is to hold something overnight or for several days. Having this type of an angle, 45-degree angle, with entries into these areas here, which is a little bit lower than previous day's close, while price maintains itself higher, it leaves it fairly attractive, providing that the stock closes close to the high of the day. Alrighty, so this is not attractive for longs at this moment. We'll see if the bottom of this area gets broken. If this bottom of this red candle gets broken, we could see the stock or the price start moving downwards. That would be not attractive at all for our purposes. So we'll have to just sit and wait and watch this specific area or range here. Once again, we're going to make sure that we get out of the position in the event that the price gets too close to our last average posted price. Perhaps around the 64s, I'll close out the last position, the last slot. Alrighty, so if the bid side goes to the 64s, I think I'm going to close out this position. I could consider going long. Sorry, I could close out at the 64s and then go short, take the stock to the downside, but we're not getting a whole bunch of conviction from sellers at this point in time any more than we are buyers. Still that meandering around. And once again, if it hits the 64s, we'll complete the day. All right, 65s. Okay, so not even enough conviction to go down to the 64s. Or even print the 64s inside the time and sales. Well, what's taking place right now is it looks like price might move higher. If this is going to be the high of the day, there's two ways of looking at this trade. It could be that the price is, depending on the conviction, price can go higher and make a new high of the day, which is very much possible since this day is already green. Or price could actually move downwards. It's hard to say at this very moment which one seems to be the more convincing of the two, because this isn't much of an angle and this isn't much of a gain to the upside. Certainly not much of a downside move either. So we'll have to keep an eye on this. This is very, well, it's tedious, that's what it is. Watching next to nothing happen. Alrighty, if the top of this area gets broken, I'll add more shares around the 76s and going higher. Perhaps the 77s. If the 77s get broken, I guess this is one of those types of environments where I'd like to see a little bit more conviction that the 77s get broken. That would be about 2 cents higher than the high of the day. And it would be ideal to see a little bit of follow through. Alrighty, 75s, 76s, 76s in the execution area. Don't remember seeing any 77s go through. Might have just been one specific trade or just a few trades that just zipped past really quickly. But obviously you can see this tail here, and there might be potential selling taking place here. If I lose too much of this tail, or as this tail starts growing too much as we see now, making this look like it's going to be a area of resistance, I might, actually I will, whoops, I will close my position. I am now flat with $151 realized profit. But even more convincingly so, if this can't hold this whole entire range and stay in this level here, I might consider shorting it. This is perhaps a little bit on the discretionary side, but I'm just not seeing any type of conviction, and I might have to go into that range play or consolidation type of, or congestion type of trading mode. But we'll see what happens in the next few bars. Alrighty, so again, this bar here, a little bit lack of conviction by the buyers to push it higher. Red coming in here. I think I'm going to need to treat this more so as a congestion or consolidation play. I'm going to, whoops, almost executed a long trade on that one, or a short trade while it was moving up. All right, let's keep an eye on this. If the 72s, the bottom of this bar, gets taken out on the 2-minute chart, I think I'll probably take a short position on it. All right, so here's the 72 on the bid side. All right, 72, 72s. All right, I'm going to go in for 100 shares short at this point. Up, 71s, I'm going to take another 200 shares short. Target is going to be the bottom of this range here, and we'll watch really closely to see how much it will break this area when the price starts moving into it. See if we get enough selling pressure. Alrighty, so this is not too attractive at this moment. My average price is roughly the 70s, 71s. Last price is 70. Okay, well, I've gone green again. I guess it was up at the 73, 74s for a little while. All right, so I've gone green again. I'm going to keep an eye on how it moves into this area or this range here, the bottom of these lows. I don't know whether or not it'll come back down to retest the prior day's close, but we'll keep an eye on this. We need a little bit more selling pressure if we're going to stay in this trade. This is not a very convincing bar. And we're not going to let this go a whole bunch against us. We don't want to start eroding away our realized profit with the shares that we see here in the current long position. All right, so we're pretty much at the break-even area. As you can see, the 70s on the ask side, 71s, not too terribly, a little bit more meandering. Back down to the 69, 68s. Alrighty, so that's looking a little bit more convincing. A little bit of solid selling from the looks of it. At least for that very, very, very short period of time. If price comes back down to this area here, this range here, perhaps the 64s, I may consider letting go or covering 100 or 200 shares here. All right, here's the 64s. Okay, notice inside the time and sales area, what's taking place, reds and greens. We want to see a lot more red. The more green we see, the less attractive it is for us to continue holding a short position and comparing it to the level 2 area. Alrighty, so we have a little bit of a buildup of, okay, so let's just close out 200 shares. Should we 200 shares? No, perhaps not. Another attempt to go lower. Alright, so now we got the 63s showing up on the inside bid. There we go, we got 63s. Alrighty, so this looks like this consolidation area or congestion area taking place over here on the 5-minute chart might not be containable. So if this, we may look for price to move downwards a little bit into the prior day's close once again. Difficult to say whether or not it will hold in this range, but nonetheless, we will take some shares off the table if it does come down to the prior day's closing area. But this is turning into more of a high trading day. Otherwise, share size, I may only have 2,500 shares, but at this moment, if it stays inside this congestion area and area of congestion, or this little bit of a sloppy base, it's going to cause me to get into a greater number of trades, higher share sizes, just to play this range between perhaps the 65s and the 75s, this range here, which may not be too terribly fruitful or attractive for our purposes. It's not a whole bunch of a range, but even with that much said, I'd have to go into thousands and maybe even 5,000, 10,000, or 20,000 shares just to make it worthwhile to get in and out between this 10-cent range. Nonetheless, with that much said, I think I'm talking too much. I need to spend a little bit more time paying attention here. This already violated. This is right back into my average price here. Alrighty. So 66s by 67, 65s by 60. Alright, so we got a little bit of movement to the downside, making me a little bit happier. So this is going to be a little bit of an area that we're going to take shares off, maybe 200 shares or something like that. Close out or cover the short 200 shares of the short position. We have 3 bars on the 15-minute chart. We got 3 bars going to the upside. We got 2 that are currently moving towards the downside. It's hard to say whether or not this is going to be a continuation to the lower side. You could see a little bit of an angled trend to the downside on the 15-minute chart. There is a possibility that it's hard to say whether or not it's going to be a downtrend or an uptrend or anything else of that nature at this moment. But as we speak, a very tight day, a very, very, very tight day to try to trade the SPYs and make any real money. This is the type of a day that might be more attractive to look for stocks that I mentioned in a guide to core trading concepts. Stocks that are showing relative strength or relative weakness, whereas it's outperforming or underperforming the market significantly. All right, so we're coming back into there. So we're going to take cover, let's say 200 shares here, put some more money into the bank. We're at realize, oh, that's a pretty heavy drop. We don't want to lose. We don't want this to turn into a tail for this big, giant, huge, heavy drop. If not, we're going to If this starts moving up too much, we're going to close off the trade. Say back up into this area here, because then it starts looking more like a long again, and this will turn into what looks like a pivot if it goes back up to the prior day's close. If it does turn into a pivot with this tail here and it starts looking like it's going to go higher, well, unfortunately, it's going to, I might very well have to take the trade long again. So a lot of back and forth on a pretty ugly, choppy, sideways day, which isn't, which can happen, but it's usually I'm done by now. Make my 1,000, 2,000, 4,000. Okay, we got to get out of this. All right. So we realized 193, and this is looking like a potential pivot to the upside or reversal bar to the upside. I'm going to take 200 shares going long on this. And what do we need to see here? We need to see this area hold. I actually got into this one a little bit late. So this could be the bottom of the move with a bottoming tail, which is a reversal bar to move it back up to the upper high side or to new highs. Alrighty, so this is not attractive at all. Looks like it might be coming back down again. In the process of it coming back down, it's squeezing me a little bit here because my average price for the being long 200 shares is at the 61s. Current price is the 57s, which puts me at roughly about a 3-cent loss, which is $6. Now, the concept of it is manage this trade individually. Don't let it tap into your realized profits by too much. Perhaps maybe 5%, 10% of whatever it is that's accumulated in your realized, but not a whole bunch more than that. 56 by 57, a $10 loss. Okay, so it's still a little bit acceptable. Don't want to give back too much of the realize. That's certainly for sure. Alrighty, so that's a nice sign. We're back green again. Alrighty. So I don't want the bottom of this bar violated again, even though there is signs of buying pressure inside these candles. I don't want this to stream back down into this range again. Perhaps the 58s, 57s will be my hard stop loss. In this case here, a mental stop loss if the price comes back down. Target will have to be this area here, high of the day. So 245.75 range. It's hard to buy or add more shares to this position at this moment. Perhaps if I do, it will be over the high of this prior red bar with the bottoming tail, which isn't much of an add because that would probably be around the 268 mark, while the target would be around the 275, which doesn't leave a huge spread for profits. Alrighty, so it's coming into 10:42. So we've been trading for roughly 1 hour, almost 1 hour, 15 minutes. And I would, well, normally be done as much as half an hour ago. The market's just simply not giving us very much. And there's a point in time where I really don't want to get too heavy on my share size and all of a sudden have 200,000 shares and making nickels and dimes. So I might very well have to call it the day. We'll see what happens when if price moves into this area here. We'll reevaluate and make some decisions. And then perhaps even call it the day and be done. Oh, that certainly wasn't attractive, that bar there. A little bit of selling pressure by the appearance of it. Alrighty, so price is actually appreciated enough on this type of an angle that I'm not going to allow it to break the 245.60s, which will be this area here. If it does, then I'm out. So if this prints if it prints the 60s or the 59s in this area, I'll have to close out the trade and be done. Alrighty, so we're at the 63s. Okay, so we got a little bit of movement here. 61s, so it's coming into my break-even price. Oh, big move, big move. All right, taking off 100 shares. Oops, went the wrong way. I actually added when I should have sold. All right, so that was a mess up. All right, so I'm going to close off. Yeah, I got to close off this position. All righty. So that was a big sporadic move there going into the high of the day. So I ended up making a mistake here. I accidentally tried to exit my shares, my position, by selling them, but I accidentally added, as you can see over here, I accidentally added more size, going from 200 shares to 300 shares with this add here, which was a keyboard mistake, perhaps a typo. So I instantly exited two of those lots, and then I ate the last one as a little bit of a loss, a 4-cent loss. My average price for these two exits, the entries for my 200 share position was averaged at the 61s. I got out the 73s, the 73s, but with the addition of me accidentally adding at the 75s and exiting at the 71s, causing me to realize a $4 loss on that side there. Oh, there we go again. Another big move. So anyways, that was a keyboard mistake, typing mistake. Nonetheless, so I think we're going to end the day here. There isn't a whole bunch to look at. If this keeps going sideways, there won't be much to talk about either. So, total of the day, 3,400 shares, realized profit, $213, and it is currently 10:47, so roughly about 1 hour and 50 minutes worth of trading. 1 hour and 20 minutes worth of trading for $213. Nonetheless, given the market environment, We could have finished trading within the first half hour and made several $1,000s, but today's market environment really gave us a whole lot of different mixed signals, a lot of different um, indecisive, lack of conviction type of signals that put us into a mode where we would be better off being conservative rather than aggressive in order for us to preserve our capital by minimizing risk and maximizing reward. With that much said, perhaps I'll have to try to make some more videos in the future and create an archive of all these different areas, so that way for those individuals who choose to join Core Trading Concepts, enroll with one of the coaches or put together a group for instructional lessons, or even just talk to a trading coach. We are available, and this is just a simple example of how to view the market, what we're looking for, and how to handle the situations or the environments in order to always preserve capital as a number one priority, but also minimizing risk, maximizing reward, and how to capitalize on situations or environments. With this much said, I do appreciate the opportunity, and thank you very much for your presence to watch this, perhaps an hour and 20-minute video. And with that much said, please join us at coretradingconcepts.com. Visit us on our Facebook group page, Core Trading Concepts /groups. And we look forward to helping you reach your trading career and endeavors moving forward. This is William Cheung for Core Trading Concepts. Thank you.